Hey guys, and welcome to Unit 14. This is your last unit, so congratulations on making it this far. This unit's going to be all about circles, okay? It's a rather long unit, I will tell you that now, but no worries. We have the time. We're going to take it nice and slow, so why don't you get started on your do now. Now involves basic vocabulary for circles that you should already be familiar with based on your pre-existing knowledge of circles. Given circle O, so the first thing you see here, circle O, a circle is named by its center, okay? So first, which is going to be defined down here, that center marks the point that is equidistant from every other point on the circle, okay? Which of the following represents the center and the radius of the circle, okay? So your center point should be -2, 2. Test taking strategy, center -2, 2. We can get rid of choice 4. Radius. We know the radius is the definition of the segment that connects the center to the outside of the circle. The whole thing we know would be called a diameter. So we need the distance from here to the edge of the circle, which is 1, 2, 3 units. So your radius is 3. You should have picked choice 2. If you picked choice 3, 6, that's your diameter. That's when it would go all the way across, and it doesn't want that, it just wants radius. Circle is defined as the set locus of points in a plane equidistant from a given point, the center of the circle. So that's exactly what I drew in the do now before. Label the radius, diameter, and center of the circle to the right. This right here, this is going to be your center point. Now there's 2 segments. There's this piece here, and because that's going from the center to the outside of the circle, that is your radius. This line that goes all the way across, that is your diameter. So we're going to be focusing on how to find the center and radius, okay? So not in picture form, but in equation form. And what you're going to have to understand how to read is the equation of a circle. So your basic format for the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now the way that you're going to read that for a center is you're going to look at h and k, x, y, okay? So your center is going to be h, k. Also notice here it says negative h, but the x coordinate for your center is a positive h. That just tells you, because the rule has a negative in it, you're always just going to switch the sign. Now your radius, another thing you have to be careful for. We know that the letter r represents our radius. When it's in the equation, it represents your radius squared. So you have to make sure you're square rooting whatever number that you see there that's representing your radius. So within this packet, there's really going to be 4 different types of questions. The first 3 are focusing on stating the center and radius given an equation. The next 3, given a center and a radius, write the equation, and then doing it in graph form as well. Okay? Now I know we don't have compasses, so obviously we can't draw perfect circles. We're just going to do our best here. So in this video, I will do one of each of those types of questions with you. So this first set of questions wants to know the center and the radius of a circle whose equation is x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 49. If we want a center, we have to look at h, k. That equation on the previous page, h is going to be next to the x, K is going to be next to the Y. So when you're reading this equation, X minus, this is your H, Y minus, this is your K. So the center, and remember the rule of switching those signs, if I see a -4, I'm going to have +4. Because that's a -3, I'm going to have a +3. And that's going to represent the center of our circle. Our radius, we're looking at R, okay? Which is this piece out here. But remember, 49 is not your radius. That is your radius squared. So to always kind of foolproof that for yourself, I would always start by drawing a square root symbol and then placing the radius in there. Now in this case, you can absolutely simplify the square root of 49. The square root of 49 is 7. Okay, so that's all you have to do for those set of problems. You're going to look at H and K. You're going to square root this number. If it can be simplified, great. If not, you're going to leave it as a square root. If you want to hit pause now and do these other two, you can do that before you move on to the next set of problems. Okay, this next set of problems, like we said, is writing the equation. So when you're writing the equation of a circle, you have to follow the format x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All you have to do is substitute in h, k, and r. Remember, h and k you get from your center. So if you're given a center as 1, -3, this is your h, this is your k. If they're telling you the radius is 4, that's what's going to go into r. Now you have the option, you can do this in 2 steps or 1 step. If you know you're supposed to be switching the signs, h is a +1. So in here, it's going to look like a -1. This is a -3. So in here, that's going to look like a +3. Your radius is 4, but remember you have to be showing 4 squared, okay? So again, you can either substitute that in now. Get out of here. No. All right, so excuse the tail for a second. Let me just finish this problem. So again, you can do that 4 squared and leave it like that, or you can automatically just know that 4 squared is 16, and your final equation would be x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 16. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for that set of problems. So again, if you want to hit pause at this point and do these two, you can before moving on to the next set. That next set of problems is the same thing, but now you're adding the component of graphing the circle on the grid. And that's just going to look exactly like it did in the do now. In the do now, you had a center and you had a radius, okay? Now, I didn't have to travel just to the right to get that radius of 3. I could also have traveled up, I could have traveled to the left, or I could have traveled down. And that concept is how you're exactly going to be graphing your circle. Why don't we look at, oh, okay, that's where you're gonna go. I assume he'll be back, but we hope. So here we go, graphing these circles in addition to what we already know how to do. So these problems are just like that first set, stating a center, which is h comma k, and a radius, r. Then graph the circle. Okay, so we have h, k, and remember in the equation of your circle, that is r squared. So now the center of the circle H, I see a -4, so my x coordinate is going to be +4. Nothing is next to y, and what number represents nothing? 0. So your center is 4, 0. Reading it from the equation, your radius is not 16. Your radius is the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is 4. So you have to use these two components, a center and a radius, to graph that circle. Starting at your center, so plot 4, 0. From that center, just like we talked about with the do now, map out your radius. So if your radius is 4, that means the distance from the center and 4 units to the right, that's going to be on the outside of your circle. And you're going to do that same thing traveling up from the center. So you're going to go up 4. Back to the center, you're going to go left 4. Back to the center, and you're going to go down 4. Now, if you had a compass, you would put it on the center, you would measure to the radius, and when you swing an arc with that, you would have that exact circle. For our purposes, I mean, do what you can. So as nice as a circle as you can create. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing for that set. Same thing as the last page, then graphing. If you want to hit pause and do B, you go right ahead. For this set of problems, write the equation of a circle. So your equation of a circle, you're following x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, given this center and this radius, and then graph the circle. If you're given a center and a radius, you can make the equation of your circle. H, K, and R. Substituting that in, changing the signs for the center. So if the center is -2, +3, I'm going to see an x plus 2. I'm going to see a y minus 3. And I'm going to go ahead and do that radius in one step. I know that this has to be r squared, so I don't want to put a 5 here. I want to put what 5 squared equals. 5 squared is 25. Now that you have that equation, do the next part, graph. So using this center and this radius. The center is -2, 3. And then from that center, you're going to use that radius of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right, up, left, and down. Okay, and that's going to map out the edges of your circle. And again, to the best of your ability, draw that circle. So again, you guys are going to finish all the questions that we left blank for each of those parts. You're also going to have to continue to that next page, and you're going to complete your closure, and you're going to complete your homework questions. If you guys have any questions for me, you know the deal. Please message me on Remind, and I will do my best to help you through there. And have a great day.